the board. I'd like to start my part of the agenda with the video. We were voted Fox 8 Cool School, and since the video is so cool, we'd like to show it tonight.
And it's time for this week's Cool School.
Yeah, so Newbury High School proves good things do come in small packages. See how it's packaged full of activities when we come back. Plus, 2 students will join us for the coffee quiz.
And a bit later on, Kenny Crumpton is at a brand new visitor.
Space Jam.
The students from Newbury.
Yeah. Ryan and Sage are going to join us in a little bit. They're getting warmed up. We dance on the show. All right. 6:38 this morning. We also do weather and traffic every 8 minutes. Patty Harkin, let's see your Space Jam moves.
I don't have any Space Jam moves. I have nothing. Nothing. I never even saw the movie.
Oh, well, there's a new one coming out with LeBron James, so catch that one.
Yeah, I'll get that when he comes back.
Okay. All right, Patty Harkin. Let's check out Scott Siegel and see what's happening otherwise. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Wade and Chrissy.
Patty, thank you. They may be one of the smallest schools in our area, but I'm going for them. We're talking about Newbury High School in the city of Newbury.
Yes, but the students there pack more activities in one day than a school twice as large. Fox 8's Roosevelt Lefswich shows us why they're this week's Cool School.
From the moment you walk in the door, you're not sure if you're in a school or in a very big house with a lot of very busy children. At this week's Cool School, Newbury High School in Newbury, it's all about everyone here being one big and very busy family.
We've got really talented, and now I'm doing very advanced pictures.
Yes, this is a high school, but the reason why 6-year-old artists are here is that Newbury is a very unique school. The building houses 300 students from kindergarten through 12th grade. Everybody knows each other, and everybody encourages each other, from those folks just starting out to those about to leave school. It's magic, sort of.
Was it the 3 clubs?
Yes, it was.
Take a look.
Caleb brings the sleight of hand every day. In addition to being the school's resident magician, he's also spending half of his day at Auburn Career Center learning how to make magic after school as a chef and one-day business owner.
Through here, I'm able to take CCP classes, and it gives me college credit for when I want to go to college.
Exploring different skills is encouraged here, from Lego blocks to fine art, from robots to programming. Multitasking, in fact, is not the exception, but just a part of a typical day for many students of all ages.
I play volleyball, I'm in the marching band, I'm in a group called HPAC, I play softball, I do track and field, and I do cheerleading.
Do you sleep?
Barely.
But being able to do so many things in Newbury for many students creates a lot of opportunity, and for many, that is what makes this school so special.
It's good to be busy, but it's good to be able to try anything you want and to get the experience and the lessons you learn from everything.
On this day, they're getting the school fired up. The girls' volleyball team is 1 game away from going to state. It's a big reason to celebrate. It's not just the high school getting fired up, it's the rest of the extended school family. The Newbury community has a long tradition of cheering everyone on. Generations of families have gone here, and that same closeness has continued throughout. That's why, in Newbury, Roosevelt Lefswich, Fox 8 News.
Okay, now I'd like to put my elementary principal hat on and introduce our elementary students of the month who have been knighted. Okay, we have kindergarten student Gavin Hill, who was recommended for showing cooperation daily by always following school rules and being kind to his classmates and teachers. Next, we have first grader Amy Morales, who tries her best all the time and for making great progress in her journal writing. Second grader Savannah Sinkovic, for showing integrity in everything she does, cooperating with all her peers and teachers, and showing excellence across all subject areas. Third grader Violet Zelli, who does her best all the time. She is kind and considerate to her classmates and her teachers. She's a wonderful role model for all third graders. Fourth grader Madison Brown, who works hard in class and is showing much improvement in her schoolwork. Additionally, each month we pull 2 students of the month who are just caught being nice. And this month we caught kindergartner Connor Straka and fourth grader Jordan Green for being nice. Congratulations to these extraordinary Black Knights. Next, 40-year tradition, we have a pumpkin contest. And we had 3 winners of our pumpkin contest, and one of them's here with us tonight. Our first is Rebecca Paradise, who won the best painted pumpkin, and you can see how she turned it into a peacock. So let's give Rebecca a hand back there. The next pumpkin was the best decorated pumpkin, and you can see Caden put gumballs all around his pumpkin. And our last pumpkin that won an award was Skylar Sullivan, who had the best carved pumpkin, kind of a scary pumpkin. Next, coming up soon after we get into the meeting, Mr. Forfey is going to talk about our fall athletic season, and I just want you to be able to put some names, faces with names that he's going to mention tonight. First, our football team had an extraordinary season. At our last home game, we literally had fireworks, and I want to thank the Board of Education for purchasing the fireworks for that game. It made it truly a special, special night. We had 3 players of the week this fall: Noah Arnold, Mitch Sanders, and John Trofe. Also, our volleyball team had an extraordinary season that Mr. Forfey is going to talk about, and we had a lot of postseason award winners that I'd like to highlight tonight. We have first Mallory Eggleston, Aaron Pietzer, Gracie Laster, Sage Niebelson, Lucy Lobanovich, Ellery Clark, and Holly Hamilton. And before we go back on stage, I'd like to give a shout out that coming this weekend is our school play, No Woods Nonsense, and that's going to be this Friday and Saturday night at 7 p.m. So now we can move back to the stage.
Okay, thank you very much for that report. I love having the faces to the names of all those kids. I know sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, so that was very helpful. Also the achievements of our athletics, those pictures are very helpful. I was at the game on Friday, as most of us were, and it was a memory that we'll all have for a very long time. So, also the volleyball team, being from the volleyball background, it's really exciting to go through those times, and those girls will never forget that either. So it's been a very exciting time in the district and for all these kids. So thank you for that report. Any other corrections to the minutes? Okay, if there's none, is there a motion to approve the minutes for the meetings listed on tonight's agenda? Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Sedeby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zock?
Yes. At this time, is there anyone who'd like to address the board on agenda items only? Okay. Dr. Harms, would you please continue with your part of tonight's agenda?
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. At this time, Mr. Shafee has a senior high school report, and he'll be followed by Mr. Forfia with an athletic report.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Hoynes, Madam President, members of the Newbury Board of Education. I want to highlight some of the activities that we've had and also some announcements of upcoming things. We've talked a lot about our successful programs this fall, our athletic programs. I also want to add on to that and congratulate Mr. Caleb Baldwin, who is our new band teacher, for the great job that he did and the great job our marching band did this year. And also Coach Christo and our cheerleaders for an outstanding fall season and for a good job really building some solid school spirit all the way through. We had an elementary pep rally, we had a high school pep rally, and we had a combined K through 12 for our cool school, and it was just a lot of enthusiasm and great to be part of. Dr. Hoynes mentioned the Northwoods Nonsense, the play this Friday and Saturday. Curtain goes up at 7 and admission's only $5. That's quite a deal. And I want to thank Mrs. Harrison for stepping forward and being our director this year. I do want to thank Fox 8 and Roosevelt Leftwich for the great job that they did recognizing our school and our students. I also want to thank Ryan Brown and Sage Nebelson for having the courage to represent us live on TV. That's always a scary thing to do. Recently, our juniors and seniors attended the Kent State College Fair and will participate in the Geographic Growth Partnership Senior Days later this month. And in October, 8th graders toured 3 local businesses and industries as part of the GGP program. GGP does a really nice program of all of our students in grades 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. They segmented over their 5 years to try and do some college and career readiness. I want to thank Dr. Hoynes for allowing me to represent our school at the GGP sessions last Friday. It was a great opportunity for us to learn about the other schools and to also tell our story, and I appreciate that opportunity.
And I'd like to interrupt and just tell you, Ms. Matthews and I were there and very pleased with your presentation. You did a great job representing Newbury and speaking to what we do for those kids that are not only, college prep and all avenues. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun. It's fun. It's always fun telling our story. Late October, we administered a PSAT and the NMSQT to all of our sophomores and our juniors who took the NMSQT for College Board National Merit Consideration. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up. 5 through 12 is this Thursday and next Tuesday from 3:30 to 7:30. And I want to thank our Black Knight parents for providing dinner for our staff next week, and also thank them for providing monthly appreciation rewards for our staff and our high school students. Finally, I'd like to thank I have one more thing. I want to thank, I forgot to thank Caitlin Boyd, our school counselor, for the great work that she's doing with coordinating the GGP and the school and the career resources. Finally, I want to thank our 5 through 12 students and staff for working hard to make this a special year so far for everyone. And we hope to continue that as we get into our second semester. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Hoynes. It's nice to finally be able to be here to give an athletic report. I've been working lines at volleyball games or something or other, so I apologize for my absence. How about our volleyball team? We'll start out with our volleyball team and the coach of the year again, Michael Shafee. So volleyball finished 19-5. They were league champs. three-peat, might I add, and they were also the district qualifier. Just kind of going down the student athlete recognition, Mallory Eggleston, you all saw her picture. Thank you so much for putting the pictures on. First team All-District Player of the Year, first team All-NAC, Northeastern Athletic Conference, and state and district all-star match qualifier, so she's going to be playing in that. Erin Peekser, first team all-district, second team all-NAC. One of the names is constantly mispronounced on away games too, so she's a trooper about that. Sage Diebelson, second team all-district, district all-star match as well. Lucia Libanovich, second team all-district. Grace Laster, freshman, honorable mention all-district, second team all-NAC, and rising star all-star game. Ellery Clark, honorable mention all-NAC, and Holly Hamilton, honorable mention all-NAC. And I just want to personally thank those student athletes who gave up so much of their time. Of course, their parents coming to home and away matches, and also the coaches. Michael's here tonight, but Patrick Cassidy coached, he was the JV coach this year, and also Drea Kerman and Michael's daughter, Keely, whose name is also mispronounced sometimes. So it's just amazing what they've been able to do in 3 years, building this program up, and a lot of credit to them. Our football team, I know I saw a lot of you at the football games this year. How about when we started the season, we had just found out, I think right as the summer was starting, the coach contacted me and said 4 of our returning players were moving out of district. And he was worried about that, but I communicated regularly with Dr. Hoynes, and I said, we're going to be fine, we're going to put together a team. And we put together a team of 19 student athletes, 9 of whom had never played organized football before. And 2 of them were female players, and we put together a 7-3 record, which is amazing. We missed qualifying for the playoffs by mere percentage points. Marty, how much?
0.3.
0.3. So the top 8 teams make the playoffs, and we were number 10. So it was an amazing year, and that final game at Vienna Matthews just this past Friday was great. We beat Vienna 32 to 8. We got the numbers mixed up. And then our last home game, thank you so much for the fireworks. It made for great pictures in the newspaper. I hope you saw those.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd be remiss without mentioning our cross-country team. They had a great year. They all PR'd by their last meet, which is great. And then, of course, middle school volleyball. I hate to forget them. They finished even on the season. I think they were 7-7. And I just want to take a moment to thank all the coaches for the fall. They did a wonderful job. Also, all the behind-the-scenes people that you don't see at games. For instance, on Friday night, there are a few cold Friday nights, and the chain crew's out there, and they're working on the sidelines. Nobody sees them. And then we got Eric Hammonds up in the press box, along with Mr. Holden doing the scoreboard. So a lot of people that it takes to put on an athletic event, and you don't happen to see these people, but I just want to thank them.
Yeah, and thank you for all those who worked to keep that football season going, and to you and the parents and the coaches and all those kids. We know that was quite an adventure for you guys, and we appreciate that, and the community does too. So thank you.
And special thanks to Mr. Forfia, working another job and then coming back here and all the hours you put in. You're appreciated. Next on the agenda is our Auburn Career Center update. Mr. Sedeby?
It usually takes a few weeks for our enrollment to stabilize, and by now we realize that for the first time in our history, we are over 800 students in the high school, which is basically our capacity. Also, our adult program numbers are Superintendent Bontempo attributes that to our rebranding. We've been working with a marketing company for rebranding and advertising. The support of the board, the good word on the streets, great teachers, and the continued efforts to make the experience in Auburn a special one. And if anybody gets the News Herald, today's News Herald, there was an article about Auburn. Partnership provides on-site opportunities, a very good article. It's about Auburn's partnership with local companies to reevaluate our curriculum to prepare our students for jobs in the workforce that are available now and will be available in the future. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Sanders, Black Knight Parent Report.
Mr. Corfey, I keep missing these for meetings for volleyball, concessions, and football and stuff, so I'm finally able to get November in, so we'll see about December with basketball starting up again. But October we had the bus stop come and feed up to 75 of the teachers and staff for lunch. And that cost was actually split with a grateful alumni who wanted to remain anonymous, but we split the cost with them and got to treat the teachers and the staff that day. The high school students were treated to Donut Friday. I'm sure they enjoy seeing Mr. Chafee every morning, but when he comes in with a box of donuts to their classroom, it's much better. So they got treated with some donuts. After prom, our Sharon James fundraiser was awesome. We had a great success. The weather held out for us. We had a dry, but it was brisk, but it was dry. So thank you to all that donated monetary and prizes and raffle baskets. It was much appreciated. We had a great time. The soup truck for the football games was a hit. We sold out pretty much every week, except for the first home game. I had visions of, fall, crisp leaves coming and a breeze, and it was 90 degrees and hot and sweaty. So that was the only week we did not sell out. That was cheeseburger soup that I had done, so I think Marty ate cheeseburger soup for the last 5 days afterwards.
That is
leftovers. But we did have, we made almost over $1,500 just with the soup and 50-50 for those 5 home games. So thank you very much for those that supported. It was a neat thing. Like Michael said, we're going to do conference dinner for the teachers. We usually do some kind of a sandwich and soup and get-to-go boxes, so those that can't sit and enjoy, they can grab something and go back to their class or home. So we'll do that following week. Tomorrow is our BKP meeting, 6 o'clock in the PD room. And we're going to try and see, I was just talking to Dr. Hoynes about doing a popcorn Friday or ice cream Friday for the kids this month. So that'll be on the agenda. We'll see what we can fit in there. And along with the play, before and after, if you have a sweet tooth, dessert reception. So $5 and you get a dessert. We're probably have chocolate cake, cheesecake, all that kind of stuff. So stop in, and we have to-go boxes, of course, but stop in the little cafeteria before or after the play. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders, and thanks for all you do for us. Next on my part of tonight's agenda is the second reading and recommendation for approval of policies 5200 and 5350.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Wilson?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Sedevy?
Yes.
Mrs. Zock?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to recommend approval of personnel agenda items B1 through B9.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Mr. Wilson?
Just real quick, that was amazing. And sad to see him go. It was great custodian and very helpful. Always a great presence.
Yes.
I agree.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Wilson?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoc?
Yes.
Thank you, and that concludes my part of tonight's agenda.
All right, moving on to the treasurer's report and recommendations.
Yes, I presented to you tonight the October 2019 financial statements. I will note again this month they are unaudited statements. We are continuing to transition to our new world and believe that they're an accurate representation, but we'll present the reconciliation page as soon as we're able to complete that.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoc?
Yes.
And we have a request to approve a contract with Re-Education Services for one Newbury student, $189 per day, not to exceed 182 days for occupational therapy, and $78 per session for speech therapy, and $78 per session for the 2019-2020 school year.
Was that number 3, Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, so number 2 we'll do next.
Oh, I apologize. I
you're
missed number
fine.
2. That's a separate contract for, thank you,
Yes.
for a student with Re-Education Services, $280 a day, not to exceed 182 days.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
How many days is it usually? It's not to exceed 182, but
Is that
The whole school year.
it is a whole school year. Okay.
Yes, it's typically a whole school year unless there's a reevaluation of the student that would require different services, or for some reason the student discontinued the program.
Okay, Mr. Wilson?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoc?
Yes.
And now to number 3 there that I presented earlier.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Okay.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoc?
Yes.
And we presented to you a copy of the new 5-year forecast for our school district. The part of the state budget bill this year changed the timing and allowed us to complete a new report and file it by the end of November, where previously we had to do it by the end of October. The forecast is very straightforward. I did not provide an extensive write-up for it. It should be there, but okay. Given the future with the territory transfer, what I did was take this year's budget. I did adjust it for the July and August salary payoffs that were not originally in the budget, that I was not fully understanding that transaction. So that's an added expense beyond the budget, and shows that an anticipated cash balance of $3,707,107 on June 30th, and the only activity in fiscal year 21 to begin July 1st of 2020 would be a transfer of that money after the territory transfer is complete to West Geauga in that amount. So we're showing this year based on the budget, and so far we're tracking to budget with no need for variances in the forecast, with an anticipation that the cash balance would all be transferred next year, and that'd be our only financial activity.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? So will this, is this our presentation of that, or since the November extension is?
It will be now filed on time, because we have until November 30th deadline, and be filed with the Ohio Department of Education we'll also put it out on our website.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that at all? Okay. Mr. Wilson?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zock?
Yes. Thank you very much. Moving on to the Board of Education report and recommendations. The territory transfer update, we've met with the EFC since our last meeting. The discussions are centered around multiple staffing options. And the West Geauga Board of Education has their meeting tonight in which they'll vote on the territory transfer. Once that vote comes through tonight, depending on the result, we'll move forward scheduling joint meetings, continue to move forward in transition plans and communicating those effectively. Anybody have any questions about the territory transfer?
So you're planning on joint meetings with both boards publicly, correct?
I would like to see that happen, yes. You know, it's hard to plan for things without those votes, all the votes being put in place, but yes, that would be the goal moving forward, is to be much more publicly, jointly working through these things together. Anything else? Okay, under number 2, is there a motion to approve a resolution in accordance with the requirements of ORC 3311-191 to appoint Mr. Tara Setterby to serve as board member for the Auburn Career Center effective January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, unless vacated prior to the expiration date?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Wilson?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Setterby?
Yes.
Mrs. Zock?
Yes. Is there any unfinished business to come before the board?
I've got a question. How much is us leaving and going to West Geauga, how much is that going to cost Auburn Career Center? Is there any idea?
I think it's about $250,000. What I heard last from.
Because last I heard was 400,000. That's why I want to know how many students.
Oh, no, I heard that was 250. That was.
Mr. Wilson, could you find out for us, please?
I will make some inquiries on that.
Thank you.
I would like an update on what we're doing to help the kids who didn't get a chance to play soccer this year so that they can acclimate next year to West Geauga. I know they passed over the summer, and then I asked last board meeting for an update on where we're at and the kids in training, so their skills are ready to go.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Forthia, I don't think we've had anybody inquire. Is that correct?
No, and they're not allowed to participate right this year with another school.
Not another school, I'm saying a private, there's all sorts of private indoor tournaments to keep them up and fresh.
They can participate in club sports.
Sure, I want to make sure that we're offering them assistance to pay for that and transportation there so they know they're not limited in that since we weren't able to afford them soccer this year.
Well, I thought that I had addressed that. I know I received that question over the summer, and I thought it had been addressed already.
No,
We can't do it even as a club with OSHAA's rules. As a school system, we would be putting their eligibility at jeopardy for next year.
I don't think you're understanding perhaps what I'm requesting, so maybe we could, I'll write up an email.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Any other unfinished business? Okay, any new business?
Just get me some more, a lot of them have been asking me for all kinds of events. So I would like to have maybe a work session where we can just schedule it out so we're all on the same page about what's to come in the next month ahead.
Yeah, that sounds like, I think we've been discussing that. I think that was a common thing amongst all board members that would want to see what those events look like and be able to have as many people participate in them. So a work session for that.
I think we discussed and agreed on that last time, yeah.
And that's just a great idea so that we can be organized and not trying to put it together in a few days.
Yep. Good idea. Anybody else? Okay, is there anyone who'd like to address the board?
Bill Paradise, 11621 Pekin Road, Newbury. You know, and the good news is I get to address the board this time because the Gang of Eight isn't here for me to have an argument with, at least not before or after. I wanted to just make sure that everybody that's up here, you know, Terry and the rest of the group, really looked at what Fox 8 said about our school and how great our school was. And all the good things that happened this year, the 7-3 record that we haven't seen in a few years, and the volleyball team that has year after year been good to Newbury, the fiscally responsible folks that really kept Newbury as a community, and what's going to now happen because of the decision that was made. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, you know, the things that were said, and the people that attended those games, and the people that really wanted Newbury, what made it a special small school, just like they talked about, that's all gone. That's all gone now. And I want you to just remember that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Paradise. Anyone else like to speak before the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Sedemy?
Yes.
Mrs. Zoc?
Yes.
Well,